everybody. I hope that you're all doing well. What I was seeing in the pre-shuffle was that it looks like there's something that's happening right now that can feel kind of challenging. It seems as well like if you are willing to keep doing whatever this is, that you can be finding that things actually end up working. It can be a time where you really have to be down for what it is that you're working on. I was seeing Seven of Wands, and I was also seeing the Chariot. Seven of Wands is when we are at a point when we can feel like we're really being challenged, and it's about whether or not we're going to give up at that point. Kind of similarly to the Nine of Wands, but a little bit different. I like to see Seven of Wands as like if something matters enough to you, are you going to stick with it? Are you going to see it through? Or is this a time when your flame is going to get blown out? And seeing the Chariot there, it can indicate that the strategy that would be needed, like the best strategy to use is you being in a spot where you're not giving up on what it is that you're doing, and that you will find that with your, there's a word that I'm looking for here, with your determination, that you will find that things do end up working and that you do end up getting through the obstacles that you can be facing currently. We're starting off with Seven of Pentacles. This can be an investment and you're hoping to get what you need from it, but you can be feeling kind of unenthusiastic. We have Four of Cups next to it. Four of Cups is when we're feeling drained. We can be feeling tired. We can be feeling uninspired. This has to do with something currently that you have going on. Seven of Pentacles requires us to actively participate and continue putting our energy in, but that Four of Cups is when we feel like our intrinsic motivation is kind of dwindling a bit here. And then we also have High Priestess next to that. So it can be like maybe there's something going on that you are feeling about this, that it can be a time when you do some deeper reflection about how you're feeling and why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, maybe just to get a better understanding. Because High Priestess is that part of us that has the answers to why things are going on in the way that they are. So Four of Cups looks like maybe something that you're looking at and you're like, well, why am I feeling like this? Or why am I not feeling like this? And having High Priestess be there, it can give you the answers to those questions. Okay. So a linking is happening. We have Magician coming out next. Something that you're actively manifesting within your life, which means that there is maintenance and there is upkeep on this constantly, because it is very much present. Seeing Knight of Swords come out. Yeah, the way that I'm seeing Four of Cups and I'm seeing Knight of Swords feels like when you start losing inspiration for something that you have going on, and it could have been something that you felt more like the way that you were approaching it before could have been very active, it could have been very involved. There can be this part of you that was like constantly going in that direction, even if it was like I'm constantly thinking about it or processing, or this is what I feel really focused on. Having that Four of Cups above, it can feel like you're losing your wind a bit here. I feel as well like this isn't really the norm for you, because that Knight of Swords feels like that's what your energy is usually like, and this is like, I like to get immediately involved in the things that I like and the things that I care about, and I get really engaged when I'm focused and interested in something, and that is your nature. So having that Four of Cups, so you're not feeling like that about something that you have going on. You can be like, why am I feeling that way? Is this maybe not something that I want to be doing anymore? Because the Magician is about what you're creating within your life, like the things actively that you are working on, because those are the things that you want. Having Four of Cups like maybe you're feeling unsure as to whether or not you want something anymore. Because you cannot be feeling very pleased. Disappointed. I feel like a lot of effort has been being put in, and you can feel almost like it's like it hasn't been maybe like going in the direction that you want. And this can also be about the way that somebody's taking action. This can be like, why did I take action in that way? Why did that other person take action in that way? Maybe this is also about what one is focusing on too. Like, why is this what the focus is? Because the way that I'm seeing it, having Magician and having Knight of Swords, I see somebody over here that's actively going to the Magician, and what I feel like this means at the end of the day is somebody that's actively going to the part of themselves that's creating stuff within their life. So when we go and we visit the Magician, this is about like the oracle essentially that we are connecting with and being like, how do I get what I want here? How do I make this happen? This is something, this vision that I have, and like what do I need to do in order to like really create that, in order to manifest that? So I'm seeing like a lot of energy that's being put in there. And so this can be something that's being observed. And then having that Five of Cups there, I don't know if this is like another person looking at somebody like actively doing that and being like, why? Because it almost feels like going that way. But this can also be you with yourself here. Like maybe you're watching yourself do something and you're like maybe not pleased with the results of what's happening here. I'm getting this tickle in my throat. I feel like it has to do with you continuously participating in something that is not yielding the results that you want. And like having Five of Cups be there is that like that you may kind of be working on something here and not really feeling too connected with it, but it can be something that you are actively doing. So having High Priestess here, maybe this is going to be the breakdown of this. Like, if that's the case, are you going to take a closer look at this and see? I think too, for some of you, having High Priestess above Five of Cups, there can be some really deep feelings that you're experiencing right now that are being processed about something that you've had going on within your life. And you can be wanting to understand that better, but it can be something that's kind of difficult to really tune all the way into, because it can be something that feels upsetting, it can be sad. I just get this feeling with Five of Cups looking at Knight of Swords like that's not what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. That's what I'm seeing. So of course you're not going to feel inspired to keep doing something. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. And when you tune into it, maybe you're understanding that that's what's going on here. When you go into something and you have expectations, like, because when you're going into something and you have expectations of certain things being part of that process, but then those things are not part of the process, or certain things are part of the process that you did not want to be part of the process, and you're looking at what's going on, feels like something has gone in a very different direction than maybe you intended. And maybe when you check in, you're like, it's not what I wanted. But it can be difficult to come to terms with this, because then we have to admit that that's actually the case. And then it can have you feeling like uninspired to do anything else because you're still sort of handling this. It's like you started working on a piece of art and you really don't like the direction that it went in, and you were just there, you're just doing your thing. It's like there wasn't any issue with it. There wasn't a problem, you're just working on something. And then you get to a point where you're looking at it and it's like you don't really like it anymore. It's not clicking for you anymore. It's not resonating with you anymore. So are you going to like sit there and are you going to keep doing it just because you've been doing it? Or are you going to look at it and say, maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I'd actually want to create something else. Maybe I want to switch over to a different canvas. Or maybe there's a way for you to change that picture entirely that you've been creating. Maybe there's something that you can do, because it feels like whatever you've been doing, you may not want to do that anymore. So something's going to have to change. Otherwise, you're going to stay feeling like this, and you don't want to feel like this anymore. And you feel like this because it's a message that something's out of alignment, but you can be feeling resistant because of the turmoil that this brings up. So basically, what you're feeling is messages that you're getting about what you have going on, and that's why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, to give you the message that that's what's going on. I get this feeling over and over again, like this thing is not meeting your expectations, and you can feel like beyond not meeting your expectations, it may not be meeting your needs either. You can feel like the type of fuel that you need from a process to feel engaged, like that spark isn't really there right now. Because the way that I'm seeing your energy, when you like something, I'm seeing you be very involved in it. And it's not really hard to find the motivation and the inspiration. It just like comes very naturally. But right now you're not feeling that way about whatever this is. And it's because of what's going on, because something needs to shift here. If you want the feelings to change. Because there's never anything wrong with the feelings. The feelings are just a message. And what is the message of the feelings? Something that is out of alignment. But it can, just that part of you that can be resistant to this idea of accepting that, of accepting the truth. Something may just not be in flow. And that's something that has to do with just your own chemistry and what's currently a match for you energetically. Because what I'm getting is that even though we can say you're working on things for this reason and that reason, and this is involved and that's involved, at the end of the day, I feel more so like this is about you investing in yourself and investing in the part of you that wants to feel like passionately connected with your life and what you have going on. And right now you're not feeling like that because something's happening that feels like it needs to be addressed, it needs to be taken care of, and you really have to get on the same page with yourself. This is like, you need to have a deep understanding of what you actually feel connected with and what you don't. Because Empress is about, when we connect with those things, it gives us energy. It feeds into our life force. And High Priestess above the Empress is the understanding of that. That's Moon and that's Venus there together. Venus is about the things that you like, the things that you prefer, the things that you enjoy, the things that you want to spend your time and your energy doing because you like what that is cultivating within your life. High Priestess is the awareness of whether those things are like a yes or a no for you. That's your intuitive understanding of things that will tell you whether something is a compatible match or not. And we don't really get to pick the things, you know, with the Empress, with that Venus energy. It's I feel like it's very much beyond our control what clicks with us and what doesn't. With the High Priestess there, we have the choice of whether we honor that or not. We listen to that or not. But when we're involved in things that aren't matching and aren't connecting, it starts draining us because you are not connected with the right things. It's like putting the wrong fuel in the car and being like, what's wrong with the car? Nothing's wrong with the car. You're just putting the wrong fuel in it. So you have to, and you can't, you can't help it. It's like, that's just the type of fuel that the car takes. So you can either acknowledge that and give the car the fuel that it wants or not. And that's what you have the option to do. And the High Priestess is going to tell you, like, what type of fuel does it need? The Empress is kind of like the facts as they are, and the High Priestess is just the intuitive understanding of that information, of what the car needs. Like, the Empress is the car, the Empress is the vehicle. The High Priestess is the one that needs to understand what to give it and what not to give it by tuning into the messages of the way that one feels. And there can be all of this stuff, right, about like, I don't want to feel like this, or why am I feeling like that, or whatever, feeling like all of this resistance, when really the only reason an emotion, the only reason a feeling is coming up is to give you a message. And once you acknowledge it and do something about it, it goes away. Then you don't have to be doing that anymore. But something is going to remain there. And especially something unpleasant like this to be feeling, it's going to remain there until you acknowledge it and do something about it. It's asking to be recognized. That's it. But if you're refusing to recognize something here, it's not going to go away. And that's how that stagnation can happen. That's where we get blocks emotionally. Because you're just letting it sit there and you're not doing anything with it. And it doesn't feel good. And then the energy has nowhere else to go, but it's going to settle. And that's when it can manifest physically. Whether that be something in your mind, be a way that it's impacting your mental health, or be something that's like actually manifesting in a more physical, tangible way. If there were no resistance to the way that you were feeling, I think this process would be a lot more simple. But because you can be like fighting something a little bit here, it may not be as easy to do. Because it feels like the message of the feelings have been coming up and saying, hey, message for you, and it feels like not opening the letter that message comes in, and it just building and building and building, and then it's like trying to come in the door and saying like, hey, it's like it's getting louder and louder and louder, and you're fighting against it, and then you're like, why am I so tired? And it's just because these things need to be acknowledged. That's why. That's what all of this is about. So we have Venus, we have the moon, and we also have Mercury all together. I get this sense too, like you've tried to make something work. With the Magician and with Three of Pentacles, this can be like, I've been trying to communicate, or I've been trying to make this happen, or I've been like putting my energy into this, or I've been trying to problem solve and really figure this out. But then having Five of Cups is like, it's still like not doing what you want it to be doing here. Like it's still not working. It just feels like trying to like manifest something and it's like not really catching here. And it can be difficult to accept that, yet there can be the energetic weight that you're feeling from not being in a place of accepting that. I'm seeing Five of Cups be connected with Three of Wands. This can be like, well, I thought that we were going to be going in that direction. And then you see something's going in a very different direction, and Five of Cups is like, we need to accept that the way that things are going, but it can be like, well, this isn't what I thought was going to happen. And then because it's not what we thought and not what we want, then we're having a hard time accepting what actually is, when all we need to do is accept what actually is in this circumstance, because you're meant to be working with these feelings. Even though it's not the most fun thing to work with the Four of Cups, it's helping you to find your joy and helping you to find your happiness, helping you to find a sense of connection and passion in a way that you're not feeling right now. This is helping you find what energizes you by needing to accept and disconnect from what is not energizing you. Because I see this thing about like going back in and going back in and going back in, and it just feels like fighting with the energy. And then you can be over here in turmoil or feeling confused, but this situation is not confusing. You just have to accept it. But you can have a really hard time accepting it. And I think that a lot of this has to do with expectations of where you thought things were going to be going. But I'm also seeing you make progress with that as well. So I feel like there is processing that's been happening where maybe you're coming to terms that something is not going where you thought it was going to go. With the Seven of Pentacles, it shows this is something that you have actively invested in within your life. And you could have been very confident of what was your like educated guess of where things were going to go, but having that Five of Cups, things are going elsewhere. And I think that this also comes back to like a reflection on yourself. There's something that has to do with you here. And this can even be, when we have Queen of Wands, this can be about what we want. It can be about what we like, what we prefer, what lights us up. And maybe there's even something that you're having a hard time reconciling with about that within yourself. Because you can say, like, I feel a type of way about the situation, but I actually think that this comes back to your own feelings about yourself. And you actually need to let this part of you be as well. Like, Queen of Wands is that part of you that you want to enjoy your time here. Are you forcing yourself to like be anything other than you are and to not express yourself fully? That's something that's going to be draining to your energy. It's going to siphon your life force, and it's going to take away your inspiration. It's going to make you not care about things. But you have to work with this part of you that it can be difficult to work with because this situation can feel really upsetting to you. Don't you want to move through it so then it's in the past? We can just leave it there. And then you can build a new future. You can build a new whatever it is that you want. It's not like this is the be all end all, and I kind of get the feeling of looking at this feeling like that. Like, this thing may not work out. Other things do work out, but are you going to just stay circulating within the energy? For some of you as well, something that I'm picking up on, maybe there were certain choices that you made when you weren't feeling totally in touch with yourself, and now these are kind of the consequences of it, but you can have the correction now. You can choose to honor yourself and your full expression now. It's like this. Queen of Wands is this part of us that is very confident and trusting in ourselves, in our instincts. When that part of us is not feeling empowered, we can make choices to put our energy into things that are not the most empowering, or that we're trying to like make ourselves like because everybody else does, or like whatever. It's all about us not totally fully being within our authenticity and living our lives totally honestly in that way. Because Queen of Wands is an energy that's going to be confident to live their life in the way that they want to on their terms. Because they know that it's like the only storyline to be living. Who else's storyline are you going to be living but your own? So when we're not totally connected with that part of ourselves, like when we are not totally confident and trusting within ourselves and our instincts and the directions that we want to go in, and again, like the way that we want to live our lives and the terms that we want to live our lives within, when we're in that type of space where we're not aligned with that, we make choices that are not going to be aligned with that. But now that you're coming into alignment with that part of yourself, the choices that are no longer aligned with that, and the consequences of those choices that are no longer aligned with that, we need to clear them out now. So this is just something that needs to be cleared out, and it's going to be so much better for you. But you can just have a hard time letting that go, because you can be, again, like this, I see you looking at a situation not feeling happy with it, but this actually comes back to your feeling about yourself being like, why weren't you empowered? Why did you make that decision? Why is this what we did? And it was a time when you were disconnected. So those were just the choices that you were making because you weren't empowered. Like, this is actually, this shows progress. This shows you getting connected with this part of yourself that is very powerful now. And so it's about doing what we can do now about that, now that this stuff has come to your awareness. Rather than like focusing so much on the past, and then it's like all of this stuff and it's not going anywhere. And it just has you feeling like in a weird space with yourself, when this part of you has like totally come online now and is like, needs to get rid of all of that old stuff. It's like you convinced yourself for the longest time that yellow was your favorite color when you never even really liked it that much to begin with. You actually really liked blue. And now you're like, I want to honor that. I really do. I'm getting in touch with myself. I see that I really like blue. And so all this yellow stuff you're looking at, and you need to get rid of it. All of it. And that's why you're not feeling good, because you're like, well, I already bought all the yellow stuff. So it's like, what are you going to do though? You have a different truth now that you're more and more in touch with. Like, now that you're even more of yourself, you have to get rid of all of the yellow stuff. So all of the blue stuff can come in, because that's what you want. And this feels like trying to force all the yellow stuff and be like, well, it's here anyway. And then you're feeling, I'm hearing superimposed. You're just feeling like all of this stuff laying on top of you, all this yellow stuff laying on top of you, and it's not letting you connect with the blue. Now you've realized you want the blue, so connect with the blue, but you have to get the other stuff out of the way. But yeah, there can be this part of you that like you really went all in. It's like you bought all the yellow stuff, and now your house is like surrounded by all the yellow stuff. And this part of your life is speckled with all of the yellow stuff, and you're just looking around and being like, I really invested in all of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, because that's what you were doing at that point in time. Is that going to stop you from being present to your life now? Like, it's almost as if you were like, well, I committed to that, and so I'm just going to have to keep doing that now, when it's like, but something else has become apparent to you now. So you think you're just stuck with all the yellow stuff now? Like, that's why this doesn't make sense. And that's why we have to properly work through the energy and do the shadow work, because what you end up finding is that you just need to clear out that stuff, because it doesn't matter anymore. I bought it for this reason. I thought it was going to be around for this long, and blah, 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 all of this stuff. But but you don't want that now. So what's that even matter anymore? You have to clear it out. That's it. But that part of us, especially starting with Seven of Pentacles, so we're starting immediately with an earth energy. I invested, and I thought that my expectation was this. And so what's that mean now, though? That you're just going to keep it around even though your feelings are telling you that's not what you want? And then keeping yourself from what you actually want, because you know you want the blue now. So not only are you, it's just like, it feels like this weird like punishment even, or like forcing yourself. But having this Queen of Wands here, this is the part of you that's like, why would I do that to myself though? Because Queen of Wands is like when you love yourself, when you're getting connected with yourself in a way where you want to honor yourself and you recognize the beauty within you. So why would we be like forcing ourselves to do something that's not aligned with that then? So that's basically what you're working through right now. And that's why all of these different feelings are coming up, all of these different thoughts that you're having, all of this stuff that's going on. That's what all of this is about. And that's everything that's coming to light now as well for you too. You're understanding the relationship between The Empress is going to be the thing that like codifies your attraction to stuff. So before, when you weren't fully in touch with your power, not fully in touch with this part of yourself, you were saying that you like the yellow. Now that you've become fully aware with the High Priestess above the Empress, I'm fully aware that I like blue. And then the Magician is kind of that quandary that we're in, where it's like, am I going to honor that now, or am I going to stay stuck in the past? Am I going to come fully into the present and say, okay, it's a new day. I've had this realization. Now, how can I take action and do something about this now? Because this is the part of you don't want to be waiting around. Queen of Wands is a fire energy. We don't just want to be sitting there not doing anything. We don't want to be sitting in inaction. It's unnatural to the Queen of Wands. Because Queen of Wands is naturally very creative and has that spark. And you need the blue to feed into the spark. Otherwise, you're just surrounding yourself with this stuff that's incompatible. The incompatible yellow now. And as soon as you come to that realization, you can't deny it anymore. And it took all of this time just to come to that realization. But that's part of processes like this, is so we can see where we aren't. And then where we are. Feel too like this is going to help you make the right choices for yourself. And also have you understanding why you've been feeling the way that you've been feeling about what you've been feeling. Because I get this sense of you still trying to work on something here, not feeling motivated and being like, why am I not feeling motivated? And then judging yourself for it, when it's like, we need a little bit less of that and a little bit more of response here. A little bit less resistance and a little bit more of recognizing the message within what it is that you're feeling, rather than there being some type of self-judgment about it. Because this Four of Cups, it's looking away from the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles can be something that you're actively working on and putting your energy into. And when we have Three of Pentacles, it can be like someone else that's involved in this as well, even. But having Four of Cups can be like, maybe you don't want to be doing this. This feeling of like, I don't feel motivated to go there and to be working things out. And then you can be like, why am I feeling like that? And then judging the way that you're feeling, when really it's a message that this isn't in alignment anymore. You don't want to be doing it anymore. You have to allow that. But you can be, I feel like you already know what you're feeling. I think it's just you're having a hard time coming to terms with it. Only because of your expectations, that actually is you not being present to what's going on here. It distracts you. Thinking about the past, you're not present. You're thinking about the future, you're not present. All you can do, the only thing that's real is right now in this moment. And it feels like living for the past a little bit because that's what the plan was, and then neglecting this part of yourself that just wants to be recognized now. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.